Welcome to Dimensional Analysis Part 2. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some dimensional analysis problems that involve more than one unit and can sometimes make the problem a little bit more difficult. Not all measurements have just one unit. Some actually have two or three, or sometimes more. Let's think about speed. You're driving down the freeway and you see a sign, and it says 60 mph. Now, we know that what this really means is miles per hour. And what we see is that this number, this idea of speed, actually has two units associated with it. It has a distance and it has a time. If we were to rewrite this, you could easily see this as miles per hour. And if we take this apart and we kind of analyze it a little bit more, we realize that what this is really saying is that if you want to drive 60 miles, it is going to take you 1 hour to do that. Or you can think of this in the reverse and you could say, oh, in 1 hour, you will be able to travel 60 miles. What if you wanted to convert one of these or both of these units? For example, if you live in a European country, your signs don't read miles per hour, they read kilometers per hour. So we see that we actually have slightly different units. So how do we approach converting one or both of these units? When you have two units in a problem, like what we see, you want to address each one of these units separately. You really want to also be able to clearly identify what unit is in the denominator and which one is in the numerator. So as I said before, if we have 60 miles, and it's going to be able to travel 1 hour. So we see that my miles is in the numerator and my hours is in the denominator. And that's going to be really important when we start to think about solving this problem and converting it. Because we want to be able to see where our units are, because again, don't forget, we're going to need to cancel those units out. Now, you are going to be following the same steps that were done in the dimensional analysis video, part 1, but you will convert each unit separately. So let's take a look at a type of problem that you might see. Here's our problem that we're going to work through. The speed of light is 300 million meters per second. What is this in miles per hour? So first, let's go ahead and identify our units. We are starting with meters per second. Now I'm going to rewrite these so that we see that which unit is in the numerator and which one's in the denominator. This is going to be meters, and the per means it's divided by seconds. So meters on top, seconds at the bottom, and we want to convert this into miles per hour. So here's my start, and my end is going to be miles per hour. So if we think about this, we're going to take each one of these steps separate. We're first going to convert our meters into miles, and then we're going to convert our seconds into hours. Now let's go ahead and do a little bit of kind of pre-problem brainstorming off to the side. Let's think about what conversion factors we're going to be using to convert meters into miles. You want to pull out your conversion sheet that we saw in the last video to help us do this. So the first thing that we realize is that we need to get from meters into miles. I know that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. I also know that 1 kilometer is equal to 0.621 miles. So there are my conversion factors that are going to get me from meters to miles. Now we need to get from seconds to hours. This one's a little bit more straightforward. We know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, And we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So now that we have all of our conversion factors, we just need to set up our problem. Let's start off with what we're given in the problem. 300 million. And it's going to be meters all over 1 second. So what this really means is that light can travel 300 million meters in 1 second of time. Now, I am going to first just focus on converting meters into miles, and I'm going to ignore that 1 second. So again, sometimes I will take my hand and I will cover up the bottom just so I don't see it. But let's just focus on the meters. Now I have meters at the top, so my meters need to go on the bottom. And my conversion factor that I'm going to use is going to be 1,000 meters, and my 1 kilometer goes on top. Meters cancel out, and I'm going to tag on another conversion factor. This time I'm going to have 1 kilometer at the bottom, so my units can cancel out, and 0.621 miles on top. Notice that miles are left over. Those don't get canceled out. They're in the numerator, which is exactly what I wanted. If you find that your unit is actually in the denominator and it needed to be in the numerator, double check to make sure you didn't accidentally flip a fraction or a conversion factor when you didn't need to. Now, we have seconds at the bottom, which means that it's only going to cancel out with seconds that goes on the top. So my whatever unit I have needs to go on top. It does not matter that these are separated by 2 different conversion factors. They can still cancel out. So my 60 seconds is going to go on top. My 1 minute goes on the bottom. My units cancel out. And then I know that 60 minutes is 1 hour, and those units cancel out as well. So if I multiply everything on top and divide it by the bottom, I get 67,068,000 miles per hour. Now again, you could pay attention to your significant figures. This number right here actually only has 1 significant figure. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it here so that we can just appreciate that this is a very large number, and we have successfully converted this into miles per hour. Let's go ahead and do another practice problem. Here's a problem that I want you to try on your own. A car is traveling down the road at 45 miles per hour. What is this in kilometers per second? Go ahead, solve this problem, and press pause. I'm going to go through this problem a little bit faster so you can at least just check your work to see how you did. Now, we have 45 miles per hour. And again, this is going to be 1 hour. I want to convert my miles into kilometers. And we actually already had a conversion factor in the previous problem. 0.621 miles is 1 kilometer. Units cancel out, and I have again successfully converted my miles into kilometers, and I can stop there. Now I want to convert hours into seconds. I have 1 hour on top, 60 minutes at the bottom. My units cancel out. Notice that my hours had to go on top. 1 minute on top, and 60 seconds at the bottom. Let's multiply everything at the top and then divide it by everything at the bottom. If we think about the top only has 45, and when we think about our units, kilometers. Let's multiply the bottom. We have 0.621 times 60 times 60, and we get 2,235.6, and my unit is seconds. Now let's go ahead and divide because you don't want to keep your number written like this. So we're going to go 45 divided by 2235.6. And we get our final answer to be 0.020. Let's keep two significant figures. And this is going to be kilometers per second. So notice that I have written my units off to the side down below as kilometers over a second. Hopefully this video helped. Let me know if there's anything else that you have questions about and leave it in the comments below. If you need to go back and rewatch this video, please go ahead and do so. Know that sometimes this just takes a lot of practice. This isn't necessarily something that comes easy to everyone, and it does take time. The more practice, the better you'll get.